The greatest side chick of all time calls time on his French career. So, will you remember as a guy who rode the coattails of Mbappe, aka Messi's daddy, or did he carry Mbappe? And is he underappreciated based on just how clutch and important he was to that France golden generation and that huge World Cup Dubinsky? Let's talk about it. So look, he's out. He's retired. Your boy Griezmann has retired. He is out of there, man. He's called it a day on his French career, and I think, see, whenever these things happen, that is when we can now have a retrospective as to, okay, he's retired. How do we now view Griezmann, and where does he rank amongst the French greats? Because he has to be in the convo because he has a World Cup. And he did contribute and have a major contribution to that World Cup. So we do have to look at where does it rank, but we have to now tell the full story. See, I'm not one of those guys that are like, oh my gosh, he was great, he was amazing. No, I'm going to tell the full story. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the weird, and all that kind of stuff. But before we even get into like Griezmann, no, he's left his legacy. He's definitely left his legacy on France, on the French team, and 20, 30 years from now, because that's because I think that's what could be really, really interesting. And I'm even thinking about it right now. So that's why I have this jersey up there. Zidane, Desailly, Thuram, Didier Deschamps, Laurent Blanc, Barthez, you can even throw in Dugarry, Jokayev. Like, those guys will be remembered for time. Now, they may be attacked because they were the first. So whenever you're the first to do something, it's much more special. But I say to myself that, like, that's 98 team, but not even 98 team. That's 98 to 2000. Remember, they won the World Cup in 98 and the Euros in 2000. Will those players be far more remembered than, let's say, a Griezmann? I don't know. Time will tell, and that's something that I don't know. So it's sort of like when we now do like the football battles, and obviously when Griezmann now fully retires, that's why we'll now talk about legacy. And will Griezmann's legacy be, and how it will be remembered 10, 30, 40 years from now. But let's start at the beginning. So Griezmann really broke through for France, Euro 2016. This was his Euros. It was in home soil. He was balling out. He was saying what's up. He was being that dude. And I feel the seminal moment was the semi-final. Because that was, of course, against Germany. And remember, keep in mind, this is 2016. So who were Germany? They were the defending world champions. The defending World Cup champions after giving birth to baby twins known as Fred and Joe, aka Brazil, 7-1 tax. So let's keep it a stack. Yes, France were on home soil. Germany were favorites. Remember, this is 2016. France had already been beaten by Germany in the quarterfinals, thanks to boy Mats Hummels, in the 2014 quarterfinals. 2012 Euros, Laurent Blanc, not much happened. So France were just riding off of, hey, we're on home soil and this Griezmann guy is doing pretty well, but the favorites were Germany. And Griezmann balled the heck out. And he was critical and key in defeating Germany in that semi-final. So going into the final, knowing that they were facing Portugal, a team who had never won a major trophy, World Cup or Euros before, they were on home soil, and you are a nation who have won the Euros before and has already won the World Cup. So you now went from being underdogs in a game to now being the favorites in the game. And what would Griezmann do being the superstar, the star, the face of the team on home soil, facing a team who were the underdogs? France were favorites. They were expected to win. This was their moment. And they could pretty much rekindle the vibe of the home soil tax that they had in 98 that spurred them on, even though they had to poison Ronaldo to get it done. Eder happened. Eder happened. So this was definitely a huge disappointment for France and for Griezmann. And look, it's and for Griezmann, and I'm sure he would have felt disappointed because he would have known that this was a great opportunity. A rare opportunity not only to win your first major honor for France, for your country, but to win it being the star. Because if France had won those Euros, he would have been voted player of the tournament. I believe player of the tournament went to Pepe. If it didn't go to Pepe, it should have gone to Pepe because Pepe was outstanding. But if France had won that final and Griezmann had shown up, or Griezmann would have won player of the tournament. So this was a huge disappointment. And I think from this point, that's where the notion was, okay, he's a really good player. Is he a big game player? Can he show up in the biggest of games? Do you want to go deeper? I almost forgot about this. This is a France discussion. This is an international discussion. What happened a few months prior to these Euros? This was the UCL final, where Griezmann missed a penalty in that UCL final. So it wasn't a great in terms of big. So Griezmann's big game credentials, they were questioned. They got questioned as to, is this guy a big game player? But I think with all of this stuff, you always have a second chance. You don't always have a second chance, but there was a rare second chance. So World Cup 2018, let's be real, the favorites were Brazil. Brazil were the big favorites, based on, this was Neymar's second World Cup. This was a really good Brazil team, much better than the one in 2014. Brazil were key, clear favorites. And beyond just Brazil, you now had another golden generation in Belgium who were also emerging. France were not really on the radar. Guys, yeah, France are there, but nobody was really looking at France. No one really knew of this Mbappe kid and what this Mbappe kid could do, whether he could now step up and actually make an impact on the world stage. But Griezmann, he balled out. And I think Griezmann, the hurt and the pain, because it was hurtful. The hurt and the pain of that Euro final, it definitely would have played a part in him saying, you know what, I have to rectify it. I have to rectify the disappointment of that moment. Give me another chance. Please give me another chance for me to say what's up and for me to rise like a phoenix. And Griezmann was money. Griezmann was money. He was cash money at this World Cup. And he was one of the best players and one of the most important players. I remember the Uruguay game and how he was in that Uruguay game and even in the final itself. But this, again, similar to 2016. Play well, but it doesn't matter if you don't cash the check. You have to cash the check. There's no good just presenting the check. You've got to cash the check. So the question was, with Griezmann playing just as well as he did in 2016, would this result in something tangible that you could hold? The answer? You're damn right. Damn right. Got the penalty, won and scored the penalty in the final, and was key. Now, this was Mbappe's World Cup. Let's just be real. The star of this World Cup was Mbappe, and we were introduced into a World Cup superstar, as we've come and seen. Club-wise, but Mbappe was, like, I remember watching that France-Argentina game and what Mbappe did, and I was like, wow, guys, we are witnessing the birth of a superstar here. So Mbappe stole the headlines. But guys, I'm going to be real with you here. I don't think France will not World Cup without Griezmann. Mbappe was important. The double defensive partnership of Umtiti and Varane was important. Pogba was crucial, as was seen at the Qatar World Cup. Giroud, even if he didn't score and he still hit a bomb, still played his role. What Griezmann's role was, that link between midfield and attack and just playing in that hole, was vital. it was vital for how France functioned and just how he was the connective tissue in that team. Without him, I'm not sure that France executes in those games, especially looking at that Uruguay game, even looking at the final against Croatia, and even in the game against Argentina. He played such an important role. And that is what you ask yourselves, because he is known as one of the great side chicks of all time. He is the poster boy of side chicks. Because when people look at that World Cup, they remember, Umtiti's winning goal against Belgium, Mbappe's two-piece against Argentina. Of course, it was really a team effort in the final. So, but the name that when you look at that World Cup, the first two names you say are Mbappe and Pogba. Those are the first names. You say Mbappe first because he was young, superstar entrance, his crazy performance against Argentina. Then you say Pogba, just based on just how important he was to that team. People would argue Pogba was perhaps the most important piece. But does Griezmann go by the wayside? Now, from Griezmann's point of view, you got the most important trophy. He'd have loved to get a 2016 dub. He'd have loved to have gotten like a Euros. And you say to yourself that this last Euros, he was past it. He should have won that Euros in 2020. That was France Euros. It was theirs. And like, shout out to Italy. Talent-wise, based on the time that France had, they should have walked that tournament. Easy money. That was easy money for France. It didn't happen. But if you're Griezmann, hey, I walked away with the World Cup. I'm happy. I walked away with the World Cup. Was one of the best players of that World Cup. I scored in the World Cup final, and I was one of the main reasons we won. I am happy with that. But it just goes to show that when I look at the France legends, how will Griezmann be remembered? He ain't going to be a Zidane. He ain't going to be a Platini. He ain't going to be an Mbappe. Will people... So let's focus on that World Cup. 10 years from now, will people remember Griezmann's role or Pogba's role more? In my view, I feel Pogba was more important than Griezmann. But even if I say that, though, Griezmann was very important. Guys, I'm keeping it a start. Griezmann was very important. Because I think Pogba is the better talent. He's the greater talent. And that goal he scored in the final was freaking outstanding. And the thing, though, is because he was missing from the last World Cup, and we now saw how bad Griezmann was in that final, you're like, even though, let's be real, Griezmann leading up to that World Cup final in the Qatar World Cup was money. But because Pogba was missing and you just saw how trash they were in that final until Mbappe went crazy, it's like, no, Pogba was more important than Griezmann. But it's almost my question. Will Griezmann be remembered fondly? Because he played a very important role. And when you now say you now remove him, I don't know who can play that role now. And who can now step into that role. Now, things change because when you look at the Zidane era team, different era of football, different viewpoints. There was no real Griezmann role. The playmaker was Zidane, but he wasn't in the same position on the pitch that Griezmann was. And Zidane was a very different kind of a player than Griezmann was. But they were similar in what their role was, which is where the creators, were the playmakers, were the guys that connect the midfield to the attack. But look, I feel Griezmann does have a legacy. And his legacy is I was a World Cup winner. And I played a very important role. His role was greater than Matuidi's. His role was greater than Havertz, Hernandez, Simon, Varane. Greater than Lloris was. Lloris was the worst. How can the worst player in the team be your captain? Bro, we gotta have a Lloris discussion. I said, was Griezmann's role greater than Kante? Because it is Kante. So, but it's not. It's a funny one, and I think maybe it's a discourse to be had. Is that is Griezmann going to be underappreciated for what he contributed to this France team? Did he need it? Did he need to win that Euro 2016? Because let's say France won that Euro 2016, he balled us, was the best player, and they won the World Cup. We're having a different conversation. We're having a different conversation. If he won Euro 2016, player of the tournament, balled in the final, and he won the World Cup, we're having a whole different conversation. Then it's like, yeah, he was literally one of the most important players for this French generation. And I think if you're Griezmann, I'm happy with the World Cup, bro. I'm happy with the World Cup. Should have been a World Cup and a Euro. Should have been a minimum, based on how talented this team was, it should have been a World Cup and a Euro. But with that being said, he's still a legend. He still has a huge legacy, and you have to respect what he was able to do in that final match. Guys, like that vid, subscribe if you're new. Remember, guys, check out the official website, halffullfootballhot.com, where there will be a player of the day video every single day. So every single day there'll be a player of the day video. So check out that player of the day video every single day on the website. Peace out, stay true. Peace.